Stop taking advice from people that you wouldn't trade lives with. They are giving you their opinion out of their fear, and that is just projecting their experience, what's happened to them, and what they don't want to happen to you. And you cannot let that keep you from changing your life, from starting your dream business, and from accomplishing all of your goals. Because the reality is, people don't know what they don't know. So when I first started my entrepreneurship journey, I found that I was seeking validation and seeking this sort of, what is that word called? There's validation and seeking approvement from people who haven't even walked the same path I'm trying to walk. So I'm asking family members, I'm asking friends who've never started a business, who only have known the 9-to-5 life, and I'm asking them, like, what do they think, or not even what do they think, but like telling them my plans. Because at the end of the day, it's not just asking them for advice, but it's like sharing your goals, sharing your aspirations with them, and their responses to it is then projecting that fear onto you. And when I was doing this, that's when I learned that why every time I'm telling my mom, I'm telling my aunts, I'm telling them I want to start this business, I'm telling them that I have this huge idea, and they're kind of like knocking me down, like they never have nothing nice to say. And it's because they are projecting their personal experiences onto me, and that's not the case for everyone. And the reality is they never done it before. So when I started my Airbnb business, I was asking people, telling people these things who have never started an Airbnb in their life. Maybe they've started a business before, maybe it wasn't successful, or maybe they've done something along the lines of making income outside of the 9-to-5. But at the end of the day, if it's not that exact thing that you're doing in the exact strategy, then they don't know. And even if they do, like, take their advice with a grain of salt, because at the end of the day, you have to do the inner work to know within yourself, what do I want for myself? Am I willing to trust myself and believe in myself to get the job done no matter what? And that's what it boils down to. Because when I started my Airbnb business with rental arbitrage, the first thing, and this is why we have to be very, like, kind of selfish with our goals, selfish with who we're telling, because you have to take really good care of it. I told my mom that I invested in a mentorship to learn Airbnb, this, that, and the third. And I remember the first thing she said to me was, you have to make sure that you're not getting scammed. And I'm like, Mom, scammed? Like, girl, of course that's something that people think about, but she's never invested in a coach before. She's never paid anything large like that. So it makes sense for her to say that. Luckily, my mindset was where it needed to be, so that didn't affect me. But for so many people, your mindset is in such, like, your brain, your mind is in such a very fragile time for you right now. And so when you're starting these things, you're hearing all of these opinions from everybody and all of this blur, which is going into your subconscious, and your subconscious mind is soaking all of that up. And although you may not think it affects you, it's showing up with how you run your business. It's showing up with how you go about writing your goals, how you go about setting your goals, how you go about making huge, big goals for yourself. All of those things are coming into effect because your subconscious mind is soaking up everything that everybody tells you. So it's like when somebody tells you, oh, starting that is a scam, or oh, you're not gonna make money, or you tell them, I want to make 10K a month. And they're like, well, how are you gonna make 10K a month? Nobody's ever made 10K a month. That only happens to rich people. Stuff like that. All of that goes into your brain, and that makes you then, like, act on those, and that shows up with how you're performing, how you're building your business, how you're motivated, how you're disciplined. It all shows up from what you hear. So during this time of, like, starting a business, starting a new journey, you really have to be super particular with your energy, super particular with who you're telling about the stuff you have going on. And it's not that these people are doing this out of hate for us or out of any negative form. They're not trying to perform negatively to us. However, they are doing it out of love. And so they're projecting. They don't realize it, but that's what it is. It's them projecting their experiences, them projecting their fear. And that's what they're projecting onto you. And really, if you listen to them, it can keep you stuck. And that's why it's so huge to not even seek advice from people who aren't doing what you want to do. And to ultimately not just not seeking advice, but to not even share with them your goals until you already accomplished them. This is something that is so huge for me, because once you tell that one person something and then you hear the response, like, ambitious people, you're like, okay, bet, I'm not going to tell you no more. Because I know, like, that's how I would feel. Like, if I tell a friend or I tell a family member something I want to do and they don't respond in a way that's uplifting to me, in a way that's motivating me to keep going, I'm like, okay, noted. Thank you for that, because I won't be sharing anything else with you again. Just watch me do this. Watch me do what you said that I might not be able to do. Like, bet, okay? So when you have that mindset, that's how you know you're going to keep going. That's how you know you're going to be successful. Because at the end of the day, people only care about themselves. They are not spending so much time thinking about your opinion. And really, if you follow their opinions and what their guidebook for your life should be, then that's going to keep you stuck. That's the main reason why we cannot listen to people who we wouldn't trade lives with. Like right now where I am in my life, I only seek advice in regards to my business, to my personal life, to my fitness, from people who are doing that. So when it comes to making money in my Airbnb business, I ask my Airbnb mentor. When it comes to making money from my brand, I ask my branding mentor. I'm not taking all the advice from my Airbnb mentor because he may not be specialized in that. Although he's done it, he hasn't walked the same organic path that I'm doing, talking to the same audience that I'm talking to. So certain things he may not know. Now, if I'm talking to somebody who is doing the same thing, it makes it better. Why? Because they can give me their advice, their guidance, their expertise, which are going to help me shortcut my success and are literally going to be helping me get closer to my goal. When you ask for advice, when you're getting advice and like all this information from people who haven't walked the same path, that's not getting you close to your goal. That's taking you further away from your goal, because they're always going to try to keep you small. They're always going to tell you not to do it. Like when I started my business and I left my 9 to 5 and went full throttle on entrepreneurship, no, I didn't have everything figured out. And when I would tell, my mom like some stuff that I was going through, and she's just like, maybe you can get a job for a little bit. Maybe, your partner, like my boyfriend, maybe he can just get a job for a little bit. And it's like, no, that's not an option. We're not getting a job because we're too far along on this. So it's like you can't ask people who have all they've known is 9 to 5. All they've known is just get a job to figure it out. All they've known is money to run out. They've never fixed their mindset with money. They've never personally developed. You cannot ask these people if you want to grow. So instead, you have to find people who are doing what you want to do, and you have to seek advice from them. Whether that's with your business, whether that's where they are mentally, spiritually, faith. Like you can't ask anybody about being Muslim if they're Christian, and that's another thing. Like with my faith journey, I'm a Muslim woman and I identify as a Muslim woman. And talking to some people who identify with Christianity and telling them certain things, they won't understand because they've never walked that path. They're not going to understand what I'm going through. Now, somebody who maybe reverted to Christianity from Islam, or, vice versa, then maybe you can seek advice from them. But usually it's just better to just seek advice from people doing the same thing. It's just basically like you wouldn't go to a personal trainer who's overweight or who's not having healthy eating habits, would you? No. So we're not asking advice from people who haven't made the amount of money we want to make, from people who haven't started the businesses we wanted to make. You have to apply that same thing to everything else, because that's how you're going to get your success in your life. And once I learned this, it changed everything from me, and it allowed me to just really protect my space, protect my energy, and protect my goals, and accomplish them way quicker. When I started my Airbnb business, I didn't tell anybody. Like I told my mom that I invested in a program, but when I first got the first property, when I started talking to landlords, I didn't tell anyone until I signed my lease. Like I didn't tell my friends, I didn't tell nobody. My partner knew because he lived with me, but if he didn't live with me, he wouldn't have known either. Like I'm a firm believer of don't tell anybody till it's already done. Why? Because although you believe all these people have your best interest, you never know, and it never comes out until you're telling them that thing. And when they're not talking to you, you never know. They might be thinking about it. Like, I don't know. And I'm not going to say all these superstitious things, but I do feel like they might be speaking ill into what you're doing. And it's not intentional. It can be unintentional. It might just be their own fears, but then they're thinking that they're putting that into the universe. And then, it's like a ripple effect. So the best way to just avoid that is we just don't tell nobody till it's done. Or not even that. They might just say something and give their opinion, tell you what you need to do, and the whole time they don't know. And then your subconscious so set up, and that affects how you're acting about it. Like, for example, one time we were speaking to somebody about real estate. We were looking into real estate wholesaling, just looking into it. And we were telling the person our current situation and everything. And he basically was telling us to go get a 9 to 5 as well. That's all he knew is work a 9 to 5, use your money from your 9 to 5, then start the business. He didn't know the way that we were doing it, building these streams of income, building our brand, finding other streams out there that don't have to be a 9 to 5 that can go into our business. So I'm not going to lie, when I heard that conversation, I started looking on Indeed. I had to check myself. I was on Indeed for like 5 minutes, y'all. I had to check myself like, girl, why are we on Indeed? This is not my plan A. This isn't my plan A, B, or C. It's never a 9 to 5 for me. That's what he knows, and he's giving his opinion out of that. But nothing from what he's saying has to do with me. I know me. I know what we're doing. I know what I have going for myself, and I trusted myself to do it. Just because he wasn't successful in the past, just because he had to go that way in the past, does not mean that that is my same story. And you have to remember that. When people are giving you their opinions, that doesn't mean you're going to have the same experience that they are. When people, even with social media, if you want to start a business, because when I started my Airbnb business, I remember so many times I would see bad videos about Airbnb, like, oh, I just stopped Airbnb, I'm not doing Airbnb anymore. You have to think that that's their experience. You could have a completely different market. You can have a completely different, like, you're you and they're them. So that's completely different in its own. And so nobody else's experience is going to be the exact same as yours. And the reality is you're never going to know until you try. And so it starts with just protecting your energy, protecting your space, if you're starting something, don't watch or entertain anything negative about the thing you're starting. So for me, I had to stop watching videos that were talking bad about Airbnb businesses. Anytime I see that on TikTok, I scroll by. Anytime it's on YouTube, I scroll by. Because no, I want to start an Airbnb business and I want to see how it goes for me. Just because I have it for them doesn't mean it's going to go like that for me. And now I have a successful Airbnb business because I honed in on my focus and I shut off from the negative stuff. And you have to do the same thing. Like, protect your energy with that. Don't tell people your goals. That's the second thing. People who don't want to see you win, don't share with them your goals. Don't share with them your dreams, your aspirations, because all they're going to do is project fear onto you and try to keep you small. So don't tell them that. And then lastly, just trust yourself, okay? If you believe in yourself to do the work, if you believe in yourself to make it happen, then babe, I promise you it can happen. Anything can happen. Anything is possible. We live in this abundant universe. So do not let anybody shine or dim your light. Like, I promise you, there's so many opportunities out here. If you see somebody else doing exactly what you want to do, all that means is that you can do it too. So it's 2026. We're going into 2026. It's 2025 right now, but going into 2026, I want you to keep that in the back of your mind. I'm not asking them for advice. I'm not telling them my business if they aren't exactly where I want to go, because their opinions are not going to help me get there. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like so that more people can see it, and I'll see you guys on the next one.